going on? And welcome back to the Catalyst of Development podcast, where our purpose is to help you find yours. And our vision, well, our vision is to communicate your potential so clearly that you not only begin to see it in yourself, but you start walking in your purpose. I got to tell you, I am really excited about today. Not so much because of the preparation or anything like that, but because I honestly believe that this is the one topic that I think we can really all relate to. This is the one topic that I think every one of us, not even the majority, but every single one of us has gone through at some point or time. Some of us may currently be going through it right now. And the topic of the day is overcoming hurt. Yeah, there isn't a single person out there right now that cannot tell me that they have not dealt with hurt, faced it, overcame it, are currently going through it. Like, we all struggle with it. And this one kind of spoke to me a little bit, and I said, you know what? Let's dive right in. Let's do a topic about it and hopefully be able to help somebody about it. This is near and dear to my heart because I too have felt broken, right? I have felt like I was at the bottom, right? Looking up, no hope or anything like that. I was a pretty, I'll say it, dumb kid growing up. I made a lot of really bad choices. Really disappointed my mother and my father, my family, and that there was just a lot of hurt that came with that. I've been divorced, right? I've been separated from my kids. I've messed up my career pretty significantly. I've dealt with one of my family members being brutally murdered. When it comes to hurt, I think I've seen my fair share, and knowing life, I know that I haven't seen my last of it, right? That's kind of the way life is. Life will knock you down sometimes, and really be difficult to deal with and face, right? Which is why I wanted to talk about it, right? And hurt can come from a variety of reasons, right? Sometimes other people hurt us. Sometimes the situations we're in hurt us, and sometimes we hurt ourselves, right? And I know that's something that everybody can relate to. I felt broken. And the goal behind this entire podcast is to help others out there that maybe have felt broken or currently feel broken, right? The goal of this podcast is to help you feel a little less broken and to really let you know that you're not alone, right? We all deal with this. Either way, whether or not you're going through it, have gone through it, or for some of us about to head into it, we have to understand kind of the process of overcoming hurt. What are the steps? What are the phases? What are the stages? Like, how can we get through it, right? Because if we don't understand these things, we're bound to repeat them. If we don't understand these things, we're bound to get stuck. And that's honestly not where we want to be at in our lives. So we're going to jump right in. And the first thing I want you to understand is that there are actually phases to being hurt. There are 7 phases that I kind of came up with through my research and kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. There's 7 phases of hurt that I've been able to identify, right? And each phase builds upon one another. And so the first phase, right? Let's just get right to it. The first phase of hurt is devastation. Right? This is that initial blow, that initial gut punch. This is one of those things that when it happens and it hits you, like, you feel sick to your stomach, like you have that really uneasy feeling, maybe difficult to sleep. You're kind of at a loss for words. You're more shocked than anything else. Life almost seems like it slows down, like it's slow motion, like everything stops. You're in disbelief. This is that initial phase of devastation, right? The first stage of hurt, like you gasp and it almost seems unreal. Devastation. We have to understand that is literally the first kind of phase and emotion that you are going to go through when it comes to hurt. The second phase of hurt, despair. This is a tough one, right? This is where we feel like we've kind of lost hope. Like, we think to ourselves, things won't get better. We think to ourselves, I'm not good enough. We blame ourselves even when it's not our fault, right? This is the despair that we face after the devastation phase, right? We're devastated and then we go into despair, like kind of like a woe is me, and rightfully so. It's hurts, right? It's painful, and we go through this kind of phase of just lost hope. We've lost hope in humanity. We lost hope in others. We've lost hope in ourselves. We've lost hope in the situations. That's the despair we face, which is the second phase of hurt. From this despair phase, we transition into the third phase of hurt, which is fear. Now, fear and despair tie closely together, right? We have all these thoughts in the despair phase, thoughts that things won't get better, thoughts that we're not good enough. And that those thoughts turn into fear, right? We fear that we're not good enough. We fear that things won't get better, that this is our lives, right? This is my life. This is where I'm at right now. It's never going to get any better. I'm no good. I'm no good for myself. I'm no good for others. This person isn't any good. The fear that, holy shit, I've ruined my life. I felt that so many times, just the fear of ruining my life. I fear always being alone. I fear that no one will be able to understand what I'm going through, right? The third phase of hurt is that fear phase. We fear these things. The big one is no one will understand, because what that does is it transitions us into the fourth phase of hurt, which is isolation, right? Because we fear that no one will understand what we're going through, no one will understand how we feel, we transition into the fourth phase of hurt, which is isolation. Now, this phase is very, very, very dangerous, right? This phase is where depression breeds, right? Where that aloneness, where that feeling of not having anyone breeds, because we believe and we fear that no one will understand, right? We try to get away from the situation. We seclude ourselves. We become hermits. We stop going out. We stop hanging out with friends. We stop doing the things that we love because something or someone has hurt us, right? This isolation is honestly where we seclude ourselves so much that we're stuck with our own thoughts. And if your mindset is stuck on that despair and fear, those thoughts just keep on going and churning, and they progressively keep getting worse, right? Those thoughts are what bring us into the fifth stage of hurt. And the fifth stage of hurt is confusion. Now, we have all been here. We're confused at this point. We're alone with our thoughts and we begin to ask ourselves, how could this have happened? Why did this happen? Why did this person do this to me? Or why did I do this to myself? Right? There was something or someone that happened that was very unexpected, right? Something that came out of left field and completely knocked us off our feet, right? And these questions, this confusion comes, and we begin asking all these questions that I think if we really take a step back, we honestly have to admit that we are never going to get the answers for. We'll never get the answers for them. And that's why this is so confusing. I've even seen, myself included, very faith-based people start questioning their faith. How could you let this happen to me? Why did you let this happen to me? The majority of the time, these hows and these whys will never be answered. And what that does, when we can't get answers, it transitions us into the sixth stage of hurt, which is anger. When we don't get answers, we start getting pissed. When we don't get answers, we start getting frustrated. We're either pissed at the person, we're pissed at the situation, or we're pissed at ourselves. We're pissed at ourselves for allowing this to happen, or for making a decision again and again and again. And here's the problem with this stage. This is the biggest problem with the anger phase of hurt is most people stop right here. Most people get stuck in this phase. Most people don't understand that their anger and their frustration is starting to eat at them internally. They're starting to become different people, right? Because when you spend so much time in this phase, when you spend so much time in the anger phase of hurt, you begin building bitterness, you begin building resentment, right? And everyone and everything after that suffers because of it. Right? Perfect example, relationships. How many of you have been burned, hurt, cheated on, lied to in past relationships, and then you don't ever get through the anger phase, and then you have trust issues in your current relationships, right? That cause those relationships to suffer and in some cases fail, right? So I mentioned in the beginning of this that I was previously divorced, right? I have been through a divorce. I have been separated from my kids. And until I understood the anger that that caused in me and my current wife's relationship really suffered because I had that bitterness in my heart. I had that resentment build up, and I took a lot of it out on her, and she had nothing to do with it, right? How many of you can honestly relate to that, right? We make other people pay for past transgressions of others, right? We make our current relationships suffer because of the actions of previous relationships. That's because we are stuck in the anger phase. You've got to get past this phase. Because when you do, the seventh phase of hurt is forgiveness. Now, just as there were phases in hurt, there are stages of forgiveness, right? We go from anger to forgiveness. But we have to understand that there are actually stages to forgiveness. There's 5 stages. So let's go over them really quick. See, the first stage is awareness, right? This is the transition from the anger phase. You get tired of it. You get tired of being bitter. You get tired of being resentful. You get tired of your current relationships and or situations suffering. You get tired of beating yourself up. You get tired of being angry, right? This is key. The awareness stage of forgiveness. It all starts here, right? If there's no awareness, there is no forgiveness, period. You have got to become aware that you are in the anger stage and transition to forgiveness. That's the first stage. The second stage, experience, right? And when I say experience, I mean you have to embrace and live through the experience, right? You have to let the emotions run their course. You have to understand the phases of hurt and know that you are going to have to progress through them, right? I'm hoping you don't get stuck in any area, but you have to embrace the fact that, yeah, I need to experience this. I need to experience the devastation. I need to experience the fear and the despair, right? And I even need to experience some of the anger, right? These are all natural. These are all phases of hurt that I need to get through in order to get to the forgiveness phase, right? So experience it. Don't suppress it. Don't hold it back, but don't get stuck, right? The experience stage of forgiveness. The third stage of forgiveness, acceptance. This, in my opinion, is by far the hardest one. It is hard to accept the fact that somebody did you wrong. It is hard to accept the fact that you did yourself wrong. It is hard to accept the fact that you're in a situation that you may not have control over, right? The acceptance stage of forgiveness is the hardest one. But let's be real. What's done is done. You cannot change the past. You just can't. You cannot change it. We have to accept that what's done, that nobody in here, right? Nobody listening, nobody watching, nobody doing anything has a time machine. If you do, hit me up, let me know. I'd like to use it, right? But nobody does. We can't go back in the past. We can't change anything. What's done is done. We cannot always choose what happens to us, but we can choose what happens in us. We can choose how we respond. We can choose how we react. We can choose whether or not we accept what has happened, right? The third stage of forgiveness is acceptance. We have to accept the fact that what's done is done. And the hurt, no matter how much we try, how much we say, how much we do, how much anything, it will never take away the act that has been done. The fourth stage of forgiveness, you have to have a willingness to forgive. You have to. You have to be willing to forgive. You have to be willing to forgive another person. You have to be willing to forgive the fact that you're in a situation that has caused you hurt. You have got to be willing to forgive yourself. Right? You have to have a willingness to forgive. There's no benefit in staying upset. Right? There's no benefit of staying upset at others, at the situation, at ourselves. When you realize this and you realize that the only thing that holding on to this anger and bitterness and resentment is causing you is to feel tired, to feel drained, to feel mentally and physically just tapped out. You're bitter, you're starting to change, you're getting out of your comfort zone, which is who you are as a person, right? You're tired of it. You're tired of it and you accept the fact that it happened, and then you develop a willingness to forgive. You got to realize that forgiveness is for you. It's not for anybody else. It's not for the person. It's not for the situation. It's not for anything but you. You need to forgive for you. Which brings us into the fifth and final stage of forgiveness, release. Right. This is where the weight is lifted off of your shoulders. This is where the hurt is released from your heart. This is where your mind stops going over the hows and the whys and the what ifs and the what could have beens and the what should have beens. Release. You have to let go. True strength isn't in the ability to hold on. True strength comes in the ability to let go. You've got to let go. You've got to release. Like, this is imperative. So before we continue, let's do a quick little recap over what we discussed so far, right? So first we talked about the phases of hurt, the 7 phases of hurt. And we have devastation, despair, fear, isolation, confusion, anger, and forgiveness. From there, we transition to the 5 stages of forgiveness: awareness, experience, acceptance, willingness to forgive, and release. So now the question is, what can you do, right? What are the actionable and practical steps you can take to help you overcome hurt? Now, I've debated this and debated this and debated this, and I can sit here and spin you a web of mindset and positivity, and I can pull out my pom-poms and cheer you on, but I know, especially those who are currently going through a really difficult time right now, especially those who are currently deeply, deeply, deeply hurt right now, that I can tell you things like be more positive, smile more, look at the bright side, find the silver lining, and you are going to tune me out. You know how I know you're going to tune me out? Because I didn't want to hear none of that nonsense when I was going through it. I just didn't, right? Say that BS, man. I'm not trying to hear that right now. I'm hurt. I'm devastated. I'm angry. I'm in despair. I'm trying to isolate. Don't look for the silver lining. I'm hurt, right? But I told you in the very first podcast that I'm not going to pull out my pom-poms. I'm not trying to inspire you. I'm trying to educate you, which means I have to give you actionable and practical steps that you can take. While I believe that all of those things are extremely important, I am a huge advocate of mindset. I'm a huge advocate of you need to be happy on purpose, right? I'm a huge advocate of sharing your smile and what that can do for your mental well-being. I understand that if you are currently facing struggles, that's not what you need right now. We'll get to that point once I give you some actionable steps that you can take to help you start overcoming the hurt that you're facing, right? And I just rambled these down. There's no number, there's no specific order, but these are things that I thought of off the top of my head that you can do, that you can get out there right now and do, that will help you start overcoming the hurt that you're facing. The first one, exercise. Now, I know some of you are gonna be like, really? Really, dude? Exercise? Yes, exercise. Right? There is nothing more satisfying than getting out there and pushing yourself. Right? There is nothing more satisfying than working up a sweat. You know, I remember reading a quote one time. It was like, I regretted that workout. Dash, said no one ever. Right? Clear your mind. I can't tell you how many people I know that say they go for runs and it helps clear their mind. Right? It gets their thoughts off of something else. They're focusing on themselves, right? Now, I'm not a runner. I've never felt that runner's high or anything like that, but I'm going to believe what people tell me, and know that that may help you. But exercise will help, right? Go to the gym, beat the hell out of some weights. Get out on the track and run around a little bit. Let your mind get off of the pain and the hurt that you're facing. Even if it's just for a temporary time, focus on you. Focus on improving yourself. Get out there and exercise. The next thing, ask your friends for support. I'm really big on opening up, right? I'm really big on sharing what we're going through and being transparent. I'm really big on not bottling that stuff up, right? So ask your friends for support. If they're really your friends, they're going to know what you're going through anyway. So you might as well involve them in the process. Have them tell you to stop. When you start talking about what happened, when you start rehashing events, right? Tell them, like, look, the second you hear me start talking about this, I need you to smack me upside the head and be like, dude, you need to stop. Stop it. We're not focused on that. We, as your friends, will help you come up with ways to get past this, but I'm not going to sit here and allow you to continue talking about, what he or she did or what you did to yourself. Stop it. Ask your friends for support. Another thing you can do something you've never done before. Something that'll breathe life into you, right? Maybe a bucket list item. Shit, man, go on some crazy vacation, right? You want to overcome hurt? Do something you haven't done before. Do something that scares you. Skydive, bungee jump, man, I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, right? Knock off things on those bucket lists. Again, this goes back to the focusing on you. Spend some time with yourself. Knock out those bucket list items. Do something you've never done before. Number 4, read stories of people who have overcame something similar. The one thing I can tell you is you are not alone, right? Every single person walking the face of this earth has experienced some form of hurt, has been betrayed, has been lied to, has jacked themselves up, is in a situation that hurts them. Anything, like, you are not alone, right? And your case is not the only case like itself. And the one good thing about the internet and social media and all this other stuff is there is tons of resources out there where all you have to do is Google what you're going through, and I guarantee you can find someone else that went through something very similar that overcame it, right? And not only how they overcame it, but what happened afterwards. See, what this does is it gives you hope. It lets you know that you're not alone, right? Get out there and find someone who has been through what you have been through, right? Read the stories of people who have overcame something similar. Another thing you can do, volunteer. Get out there and give back. Give back to the less fortunate. Go to the homeless shelter or a veteran's home, or go help out with children, or maybe the special, whatever it is you need to do. Get out there and invest yourselves in someone else. And this works a few ways, right? Number 1, it puts things into perspective for you, right? You could be sitting here and really hurt and upset about something, and then go and volunteer somewhere and realize that even though you're going through all this and it doesn't minimize what you're going through, there are a lot of people in this world who would give anything to be in your situation. It puts things into perspective, right? Another thing that volunteering does is, I promise you, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, you will never be more happy than you are when you make someone else happy. Like that is huge for me. If you want to feel true happiness, make someone else happy. Yeah, that is exactly what volunteering does for you. So get out there and volunteer. Number 6, you need to be able to express your pain and your hurt, right? This doesn't mean to dwell on it or to never let it go, but I hate, and I don't even like using that word, but I hate the whole fake it till you make it, Man, that is bullshit. Do not believe it. Do not. Oh, I'm getting frustrated. I can feel myself starting to work up. That is the worst advice ever. Fake it till you make it. Throw a fake little smile on your face and walk around like everything's good. No, you need to face it until you make it. Face it. Open up. Express. Be transparent. Be vulnerable. Let people know, those close to you, who you trust, but let them know what you're going through. Let them know what you're feeling. You know, and you'll find out very quickly, again, that you are not alone. You'll find out very quickly how many people are willing to offer their support, even when you don't think that they will. Don't fake it till you make it. Face it till you make it. Open up and express what you're going through. Get it off your chest. Don't get stuck there, but release. Right? Number 7, I love this one. I actually do this one. I still practice it to this day. It is the gratitude journal. You have one or two things in your life that have hurt you, that have broken your heart, that have devastated you to your core. But I promise you, if you take the time, and this doesn't have to be detailed, it doesn't have to be intricate, it doesn't have to be anything, but if you take the time each day to write down 2 or 3 things that you are thankful for, that you are grateful for, it will start changing your mindset. It will start having you look for those things. And the more you focus on things that you're grateful for, the less you will focus on the things that have hurt you, right? The gratitude journal is huge. And you'd be amazed at how many things in your life you have to be grateful for. Man, I highly recommend the gratitude journal. Super simple. Man, just get a little notepad and every day, 2 or 3 things that you are thankful for that day. Friends, family, the sun, your health, anything, right? The fact that you woke up above ground, that is a huge reason to be grateful, right? Gratitude journal. Next, I want you to consider writing about a past hurt. Right? We've all experienced it before. We've all been through hurt before. We all have overcome hurt before. Write about that experience. Write about something you've been through in the past, how you felt during the time, remember those feelings, right? And then how you overcame it. Right? Writing down about a past hurt and how you overcame it reminds you of how strong you are. Remind you that you've done it before, so yeah, you can do it again. So take some time and write about a past hurt. It will help tremendously. Lastly, I'm going to couple this right in with the gratitude journal, right? Highly, highly, highly recommend you take this step, right? You take this item, but I want you to consider writing a letter of forgiveness to the person that hurt you, even if that person is you, right? I'm not telling you to mail the letter. I'm not telling you to give them the letter. I'm not telling you to do any of that. What I'm telling you to do is to write a letter of forgiveness to what has hurt you, right? Talk about how it hurt you, what they or yourself did to hurt you. Be specific, be detailed, right? Put all your emotions out there, how it made you feel, the stages that you've gone through. But lastly and most importantly, forgive them. Write it out. Put it on paper, right? I don't care if it's to somebody else or to yourself. Write a letter of forgiveness in which you forgive. Keep it. Fold it up, put it away. And when you start running through your emotions, when you start running through the gambit again, pull it out, open it back up, and read it. Right? This also works really well with videos. I've made videos in the past before, and these are really raw, right? These are really difficult to do. But I've been going through things in the past, right? And I've been in a point where I'll just take my phone out and I'll record myself and I'll record the emotions that I'm going through. And I'll promise myself that I will never allow this to happen again, right? That I'll never feel this way again. And then when I feel myself being tempted or I see myself going down a path that I don't want to go down, I'll pull my phone out and I'll watch that video. And you want to talk about hitting home? You want to talk about hitting someone in the heart, right? Watch a video of yourself and how you felt during that time with the raw emotions, right? So letter of forgiveness or even a video of forgiveness, right? Highly, highly, highly recommend that you consider those 2 steps, So, and that's it, right? Those are some of the actionable, practical steps that you can take, right? Exercise, ask your friends for support, do something you've never done, read stories about other people who have overcome something similar, volunteer, express your pain or hurt, gratitude journal, write about a past hurt, and your forgiveness letter or forgiveness video. Right? Those are all actionable steps you can take to help you overcome hurt. One of the things I want you to understand is we're constantly put in situations that we don't like, whether or not they're hurtful situations, whether or not we bring them upon ourselves. And we always try to control what is going on. We always try to change the situation. But I want you to ask yourself this: what if we weren't meant to change the situation? What if we weren't meant to do that? What if the situation was meant to change us? It adds a whole new perspective on things, right? Stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to change everything and realize that some of the things you face in your life aren't meant for you to change. They're meant to change you. Stop making excuses and start making adjustments. Because if you don't adjust, if you don't learn, if you don't grow, you're bound to face this hurt again. I cannot tell you that everybody has experienced hurt. Everybody has experienced pain. You are not alone. We have all been there. In life, you're either heading into a storm, you're currently in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. That's the way life works. Life is not easy, but it's more sustainable, more livable, and more happy when we realize that we're not meant to do this on our own. Right? There are actionable steps. There are phases and stages and steps that you can take to help you overcome the hurt that you may be feeling. There are phases and stages and steps to overcome hurt that you will face again. So if you have to go back and re-listen and jot down some notes, please, please, please do so. Understand that you are not alone. You have an army of people that are willing to support you. You just have to be able to reach out. I will raise my hand as one of those people. If you are dealing with something that you feel like you are having a hard time getting over, reach out to me. If anything, I will listen. I will listen. I will hear you out. I will allow you to vent your frustrations. This is a judgment-free zone. But you now, over this podcast, have everything you need to be able to overcome your hurt. As always, thank you so much for spending time with me today and allowing me to invest in your development. Until next time, continue being a catalyst of change. Continue finding the code to unlocking your truest potential. Be a catalyst not only for yourself, but all those around you. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming events. And if you need to, go back and listen again to some of the previous podcasts. I thank you deeply, deeply, deeply for your support, and we'll talk to you soon.